Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Mr. Hall, and today we are going to talk about problem and solution. The problem is what the character in the story wants to try to fix or change. The solution is how that problem was fixed or changed. We can think of this in terms of like math. In math class, you're often given word problems, and with your word problems, you have to figure out what is it that they want you to do and how you can best solve that. Today, we are going to read a story called Ron's Big Mission. And with this story, we are going to identify the problem and the solution. So, meaning, how did Ron fix this problem? Join me as I read along. You're up early this morning, Ron. What's the rush? Asked Mrs. McNair. Come and have your breakfast. I made some oatmeal. I have to go, Mama, said Ron, trying on his sneakers. I have something to do this morning. You always have something to do, said his mother with a smile. Just be home by lunchtime, okay? Ron was 9 years old. That morning, he left his house with a plan. He'd been thinking about it for a long time. It was a beautiful South Carolina summer day, and Ron looked up at the blue, blue sky. Someday, he thought, he would be up there, flying a plane. He wanted to be a pilot when he grew up. But today, Ron had something else on his mind. Something very important. I wonder what is really important to Ron at this moment. He's rushing out the house. He's kind of looking up at the sky, and we know that he wants to be in a plane someday. Ron walked down the street as fast as he could. He didn't want to be late. Hi, Ron, the grocer called from the front of his store. There you are, just in time for a donut. Morning, Mr. Douglas, said Ron. Thank you, but there's someplace I've got to be. And Ron kept walking. Down by the schoolyard, Ron saw his friend Carl shooting baskets. All right, you made it, called Carl. Hi, Carl, said Ron. I wish I could stay, but I've got something important to do. More important than basketball on summer vacation, said Carl. Are you kidding? Ron laughed. He loved to play basketball, but not today. Today was too important. Ron kept on walking. So we know that Ron is really busy. He's really trying to get to something. He's definitely left his house. He skipped a donut. Now he doesn't even want to play basketball with his friend. And he loves basketball. When Ron got to the Lake City Public Library, he stopped. This was it. He was hot from walking so fast, and he was nervous too. He took a deep breath, lifted his head up high, and went inside. Sounds like Ron's got some confidence right now. Mrs. Scott was busy getting ready for all the people who would be using the library today. As the head librarian, she had to make sure that everything was neat and orderly. Mrs. Scott looked up to welcome her first visitor of the day. She smiled as Ron walked in. He was her best customer. Ron gave a little wave to Mrs. Scott and went right to the shelves. He's really on a mission. He's going straight to the shelves. So that means he's looking for some books. It took Ron a while to find some books. He always looked for books that showed children who looked like him. But that was hard. There were not many books about black kids on the shelves. At last, Ron found some books on airplanes. He took the books and started to walk to the front desk. Ron felt nervous and his hands felt a little sweaty, but he knew what he wanted to do. Mrs. Fielding, a white lady, who was often in the library, stopped him. You can give me the books and I'll check them out for you, Ron, she said gently. No thanks, Mrs. Fielding, Ron said. I'm going to do it all by myself. But Ron, she started to say, I think this is the part of the story where we are running into some kind of problem. One of the ladies in the library decides that she wants to try to help Ron, but Ron is too focused on getting to the front of the library to check out the books. I wonder what's going to happen next. Ron was already on his way to the front desk. He put the books on the counter. I'd like to check these out, please, said Ron. The desk clerk didn't look at him. Didn't she hear me? Ron wondered. Ron knew what he had to do. At this point, Ron goes to the front. He tries to check out the books, and the clerk didn't even acknowledge that he was there. It's like she ignored him. So Ron is conjuring up some kind of plan. I wonder what he's going to do right now. He knows what he's going to do. Let's find out what he does. He jumped up on the counter. He wanted the desk clerk to know he was serious. "I'd like to check out these books," he said quietly. At first, the desk clerk and Mrs. Scott just looked at each other. "You know, you can't check out books, Ron," said Mrs. Scott. "You can read them here. That's the rule. Only white people can check out books from the library." Ron looked at Mrs. Scott and the desk clerk politely, but he would not budge. "I always read them here. Today, I want to check them out," said Ron. Mrs. Scott and the desk clerk did not know what to do. Ron wouldn't get off the counter. People were staring. Finally, the desk clerk called the Lake City Police. Sounds like she didn't really know what to do, but Ron is trying to solve his problem. Can you think about what his problem is so far in the story? Two policemen came right over. "Let someone check out the books for you, son," said one of the policemen. "You know the rules." But Ron just shook his head. He would not budge. Ron's not listening to anybody. Now, Mrs. Scott called Ron's mother. Mrs. McNair came to the library very quickly. "I know how you feel, baby," she said, "but you have to follow the rules." "I can't, Mama," Ron told her. "It's wrong. The rules are not fair. Why can't I check out books like everyone else?" No one said anything. Not the desk clerk, not Mrs. Scott, not the policeman, not even Ron's mother. Mrs. Scott looked at Ron. She thought about all the times that Ron came into the library and all the times he sat at the tables for hours looking over so many books. He was her best customer, and she knew what she had to do. What do you think that the librarian is going to do? Do you think that she's going to help Ron in some kind of way? I think that too. Let's find out. Mrs. Scott walked back into her office and started writing. Ron wondered what she was doing. I think everybody's wondering what she's doing at this point. What is Mrs. Scott doing? Mrs. Scott returned and handed Ron a library card. His library card. Ron looked at Mrs. Scott and smiled. As he jumped to the floor, he thought he saw her smile too. "I'd like to check out these books, please," he said, handing the card to the desk clerk. The desk clerk took his library card and stamped the cards in the back of the books. "These are due back in 2 weeks," she said. Ron smiled. "Thank you," he said. He tucked the books under his arm and took his mother's hand. Together, they walked home. Ron couldn't wait to get to his room and open to page 1. Let's talk about the problem and solution here. That was a fantastic story, and I believe that the problem was that Ron couldn't check out books from the library. He knew that things weren't quite fair or equal in terms that he was a black kid and he couldn't check out books, but white kids could. That was a problem to him. So the way that Ron attempted to solve his problem was that he advocated for himself. He stood up for what he believed in. I encourage you all to continue to stand up for what you believe in and fight for change. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I hope to see you all again soon.